Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with Michael Johnson, who is president of Travel Edge. Now, what's Travel Edge? Most of us in the industry know what it is, although it's a large travel agency based in Toronto, but with a lot of outlets here in the States, and they have a huge host agent program, or host advisor program, what we should say these days. And we're going to talk to Michael about that and a lot more about Travel Edge and its beginnings on Insider Travel Report. Now, first of all, Michael, my traditional question is these days, because we all want to know, how are you and where are you?
Well, first of all, thank you for joining me this morning, James. I'm doing well. As a matter of fact, I'm really excited to spend some time with you talking about who we are at Travel Edge. I'm in Toronto today, and I have to be honest with you, I'm a little nervous. I was looking at the calendar, and I realized there are only 2 Saturdays left between now and Christmas.
Yes.
And as long as 2020 has felt, the last few months have really gone on warp speed. So interesting times to say the least.
No, absolutely. And we all seem to be working harder than ever. This is supposed to be our time to pause and reflect, but
right.
Haven't done too much reflecting and pausing, maybe a few days, but not a lot. Now, let's start this off by asking you to describe Travel Edge and how it's structured today. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So Travel Edge is, a large luxury-focused host agency. We're based in Toronto. However, the vast majority of our partnerships are in the U.S., quite frankly. We grew up over the last few years based on acquisition, and along the way, we really learned that the magic of an agency is really the advisor network. So we've kind of pivoted away from looking to acquire or partner with agencies, and we're really focused in on delivering a best-in-class advisor experience.
Right. Now talk about how Travel Edge began and how it's grown over the past few years. Because I know your team. I've known them, and you've had a previous name, and you grew out of a different group, and then you bought several agencies here in the U.S. over the last few years. But tell us about how that growth pattern has worked over the past few years.
Sure. So Travel Edge is part of a larger family of travel companies, and it all originated with Kensington Tours, quite frankly, back in the early 2000s. And as Kensington really developed a new model for private guided tours, that same approach was pivoted over towards leisure. So our founder and CEO, Jeff Wilner, started to acquire individual agencies, really focused on pulling them together and then empowering the advisor through technology, very similar to what had been done at Kensington. Now, we operate very separately. Ultimately, we're 2 distinct entities, but we've really grown up through acquisition. Then over time, again, we really came to realize that the power of the agency was with the advisor.
Right.
And so along the way, we've really learned what makes a great advisor tick, what does great support look like, and adjusted our value proposition to meet their needs.
Well, I do know that a number of the travel agencies you have acquired had pretty strong host programs to begin with, and obviously you've had a chance to take a look at that. But let's talk about how you did develop and grow your hosted travel advisor program. And then roughly how many advisors do you have or do you host right now?
Yeah, so right now we've got about 750 advisors located throughout North America and Bermuda. And so as we, acquired, the first piece was really making sure that we understood the needs of the advisor. And over the last 2 years, we've really dialed into that to develop technology based on the needs of the advisor that empowers them. We've really learned kind of what's important from a partnership perspective and sort of what are the nice to haves, and really built that internal value proposition. Because at the end of the day, I believe that the advisor is the most effective advocate. And so we started with our advisors, really kind of dialing up their support, and then started to really work with our suppliers and build those relationships. So much so that last year, which feels like an eternity ago, we were recognized as the most hospitable agency in Virtuoso. And so as the supplier relationships started to develop and the advisors really started to buy into the sense of community, we were ready to go out and speak to the travel industry at large about who we are. And then, of course, COVID hit. So we all kind of took a pause, but in some sense, the timing was advantageous because we were able to get out there and really talk about who we are and dial up support even further while business was effectively on pause, so that when business comes back, and we all know it's going to come back, we're ready for that exponential growth.
Well, let's talk specifically about what you offer as part of your hosted program in terms of the big program, the big areas, which we always look at as marketing, technology, training, preferred suppliers. And I know, as you mentioned, you are affiliated with Virtuoso, but let's go one by one. Like in terms of marketing assistance, what do you offer one of your hosted advisors?
Okay, great. So great question. Obviously, we have access to all of Virtuoso's marketing programs, but perhaps more importantly, our team is very skilled at developing PR strategies, marketing strategies that are specific to the advisor. One element that I would point to is, this idea of creating video content for our advisors. And we've actually invested in people and technology that allows the advisor to talk about their own specific business, their own value proposition, and push that video content out across social media.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the technology you offer. What can hosted advisors get through you?
So that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it, and that is a real differentiator for us. So we have a proprietary booking platform called ADX. And I could spend an hour talking about all of the different things that it does. But at the highest level, it is a multi-GDS booking platform that allows the advisor instant access to commissions, automatic invoicing, a whole bunch of stuff that at the end of a long day allows them to earn more money and spend less time on administration and more time on what I think our advisors really value, which is engaging with their clients. Mm-hmm. And our next piece is actually creating bundling opportunities for the advisor to take the advisor from selling individual products kind of pulled together in an itinerary and start actually selling packages. And as they do that and operate as almost a mini tour operator, it gives them even more earning potential.
Now, it sounds like it's really a turnkey system that you can just plug into if you join Travel Edge. So that sounds great. What about training and education? What kind of programs do you offer your hosted advisors?
That's another great question. So right now, we're actually building out a certification program for new to industry. And as we build out the certification program, we're really focused on bringing over very experienced, top producing agents, and really building out the value proposition for them. And what we found was interesting when we looked at how we had aligned our structure. Previously, we'd aligned support geographically. So if I lived in Texas, I would have somebody in the South kind of supporting me. And as top producers start to join Travel Edge en masse, we realized we've got a lot of strong specialists. So we completely re-engineered the support structure. So if I'm a cruise agent, I'm led by somebody who's grown up in cruise. Air, same thing, tour, same thing. So we're able to really create more relevant support and relevant training for those advisors.
No, that's great. And I guess my last question is, was about preferred suppliers. And I assume since you're part of Virtuoso, you have access, obviously, to all the Virtuoso preferreds, but I assume you have a few more of your own as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're part of all of the preferreds that you would expect to be a part of. One of the things that we've also focused on is really dialing up our value proposition or relationships with some of the boutique properties. So when you think about the majors, I mean, to be a relevant host agency, you need to have a relationship with major suppliers, and we value that. We also know that part of the craft of selling travel is understanding those boutique properties and having relationships with those places that only the insiders know about. So we've got a balanced approach between being part of the big preferreds and kind of supporting some of the boutique properties that make travel special.
And what about the airlines? Do you have any preferred relationships there beyond? I know there is a Virtuoso Air program, but a lot of people turn to other places as well.
Yeah, we've got a very strong air program. So we have preferred relationships with all of the majors, American, Delta, Air Canada, et cetera. We also have our own in-house air support. And recently, during this pause in business, built out our own after-hours support. Now, we found that was a major pain point for agents, not so much during the course of regular hours, but what happens if a client's on the other side of the world and they miss a flight, particularly now with the restrictions and capacity? Who do they turn to? And so our agents felt that they were very uncomfortable, as we were, quite frankly, outsourcing that to a third party. So we brought that in-house, and doing that allows us to control the client experience in a way that meets our standards, quite frankly.
Well, actually, that's great because, I mean, a few years back, I was educated that we were always telling people, oh, you don't have to worry about air because, you know, they don't pay commission. But the answer was they always did pay commission, and there was always that commission to be had. So why give it up by not selling it? And I think I wrote an article many years ago, Make Money Selling Air, which was like absolutely against what we've been talking about for 10 years. So it's now you can, and it sounds like you got the right affiliations to help your hosted advisors do just that. Let's talk a little bit about the Travel Edge's culture and your travel advisor mix. How might it differ from maybe other host agencies? What is your culture?
So that's a great question. I would say culture is a passion of mine, and I believe that the advisors would attest to that. We really spent a ton of time understanding who we were internally and how we nurture this partnership, because that, at the end of the day, is what our relationship with the advisor is. It's a partnership. So we've got a lot of different communication vehicles we use, everything from member advisory boards to weekly town halls. In fact, when the pandemic hit, with all of the challenges around there, we actually invested in making sure that on a weekly basis, we had our legal team, as a matter of fact, join our weekly town halls to help our advisors navigate all of the different, government support programs, right? And so we kind of lean into whatever elements of support are most appropriate to the advisor at that time. We've got a bunch of digital conferences and all kinds of different things, but at the end of the day, I think the best way to describe our culture is that we have almost an individual one-on-one relationship with our advisors, and we hold on to that dearly. We make sure that our advisors all feel that they're a part of a community. And then on the back end, almost invisible to the advisor, is the support of the big machine, right? Great finance support, great IT support, great marketing support, and all those pieces, but still a boutique feel on the front end.
No, that's great. I mean, it is so important that you feel like you fit, you belong to a sort of somewhat like-minded travel advisors. And I know that's one thing when I was advising people what kind of host they should select. That's a huge thing. Do you fit in that culture? And of course, the other thing is, what is the mix of travel that Travel Edge sells? And I assume it's what you're talking about here is mostly leisure, but I guess some business, mostly luxury, but maybe some other levels of travel. What is your strength? What are your strengths? I mean, where are you really focused on selling?
Yeah. So we are primarily leisure. We do have a corporate element. Of course, there's an open question around, how quickly corporate's going to bounce back and all of those different pieces. But we do have a pretty strong corporate element. But we're focused primarily on leisure, and within that, luxury leisure. We do have a very balanced group of advisors across North America and, again, in Bermuda that lean into all of the different categories. So it's not like some agencies that may have a really, really strong cruise program and then maybe a little bit weaker in FIT or air. We actually have a very balanced portfolio of contracts and products and ultimately ICs. And the interesting thing about that is, even the specialists, as things reopen, people are kind of more generalizing themselves to get their businesses back up, right? Because we don't know when is cruise really going to return?
Yeah, well, I think we publish a daily guide to that. It seems to be pushing back. Every time I turn around, they keep pushing it further into the spring or even in the summer. So
right.
And we're all waiting, and that's a huge area, I'm sure, for you too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, at one point it was almost hourly, right? What's happening? And so the benefit of that is, our advisors can lean into, where their clients are traveling or where they're interested in traveling. And so former cruisers may be interested in private guided, as travel comes back online. And we're able to support across all of those different categories.
No, that's great. Let's talk a little bit about your compensation program. How you, I don't know what kind of deals you offer for commission split fees. What is the business proposition to working with Travel Edge?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that question, because that's another differentiator for us. I started with sharing that we believe that this is a real partnership with the advisor, and any strong partnership has to be built on transparency. So I believe we were one of the first. And we continue to actually publish our commission splits. So advisors know they're getting the best and most compelling offering, and they also have a very clear path to earning even more. So we go up as high as 95% in terms of our splits. But I want to point out that 95% is also based on best-in-class contracts.
Right.
So, we start with a really, really compelling contract with, pick your supplier, and then we offer 95%. No hidden fees, no side deals. We're very forthright about transparency and partnering with the advisor community.
No, that's great. And of course, in the end, it has to get down to the money and how quickly you get it. I've heard horror stories about, I signed up for that program, but they only pay my commission like every month or something. And that kind of, and that's I assume that's not something you do, but you want to get that money in the hands of the travel advisors as soon as they can. And now, obviously, we're all talking about new ways of commission. That maybe getting that commission a little earlier if travel advisors have actually made the booking, and some companies are doing that. Others haven't quite gotten to that level yet. So we'll see what happens.
Well, there's the love of the industry, right? And the love of helping people realize their dreams and explore new areas of the world. And at the same time, we're capitalists, so we want to create an environment that is supportive of the IC, but make sure that they are earning to their potential. And we're not standing still. And so we believe we've got a very compelling value proposition. But right now, we've got a group of developers that continue to work on our booking platform again to allow advisors to sell as tour operators.
Right.
And so now we all know, if you start to bundle things like transport, air, ground, whatever excursions into one package, then you've got opportunity to earn even more by embedding fees or marking up nets or all kinds of different things that are most appropriate to that client. So great splits, but also great opportunity to really push your business in a bundled way.
Well, absolutely. The key is to this business is selling really highly packaged and travel as well as groups and things like that. So that's the kind of thing everybody has to really focus on. Now in that vein, you're kind of launching a new marketing campaign to attract travel advisors, I believe, and to help take a look at Travel Edge and see what your value proposition is. What kind of travel advisors are you looking to attract here?
So we're really focused on partnering with advisors that have an existing business, because we can help them right now scale up very, very quickly. So we're out there, we're talking, across the trades about Travel Edge. We're saying, hey, just reach out. It doesn't cost you anything but, an email or a phone call, and make sure while your business is on pause that you at least are comfortable with your existing relationship and can map that up against kind of what's out there in the industry. Invest that time in yourself. You won't regret it.
Well, it is probably a great time to do that and do a campaign to ask, ICs and independent agents, do they have the right mix they're looking for in their business? And I'm surprised more people aren't doing the kind of marketing you're looking at right now, because if I was an IC right now, I would be looking at all my options to see what's out there. And you did mention, I was going to ask, you just said you're looking for more experienced advisors, not necessarily newbies, but you do take newbies as well, right?
We do. And what's really interesting, coming back to, talking about our value proposition. So, we were pretty aggressive in the spring, and we've come back to speaking about who we are and why we think we're compelling. But the majority of the agents that have joined us, and by the way, I should point out, we've had $150 million worth of books join us since April. It's an incredible number when you think about it. And the majority of that has actually been through referral. So as we get out there and we talk about, our value prop, the first thing the advisor does, and I applaud them, is they call somebody they know. They call a supplier, they call another advisor to really check whether or not we mean what we say, which of course has been validated by the number of advisors that have joined us thus far.
No, that's great. Now, do you offer any incentives or programs to sort of attract advisors at this point to Travel Edge?
We do. We are offering up to 35% of 2019 commissions as a signing bonus.
That's great.
It's a pretty remarkable offer. when you look at the sort of circumstances that our industry finds itself in. But we believe ultimately that people make travel better. We know in our heart that travel is going to return. And when it does, it's not going to be a gradual recovery. It's going to be like a rocket ship.
Yeah,
so
well, that's what we're all hoping. That's for sure. We just don't know when that rocket's taking off. That's
right. That's right. And so now's a great time to get out there and offer this as a means to make that transition easier for advisors and offer them a little bit of extra financial support during this time.
Absolutely. Now, just overall, what would you say are the advantages of your hosted program compared maybe to the rest of the industry, and what makes Travel Edge a better option compared to other host agencies?
Yeah, great question. So I would say that obviously our technology is highly compelling because again it allows the advisor to spend less time on administration, more time on their client, and earn more money. So we think that technology is a differentiator. We know that technology is a differentiator. Our compensation program, right? So the commissions and the yields that we drive as part of all of our preferred relationships, again, is also very compelling. Now, a lot of other agencies can say that, but I think, when you take this combination of technology and access to preferreds, and then you layer on the support that we align behind advisors, be it through our relationship directors, be it through our in-house air support and after hours. But we believe that our support is best in class. And then all of that at the end of the day is kind of underpinned by this sense of community and this sense of partnership. And there are a lot of agencies out there that do some really great work. They've got great technology, or they've got a great community, or they've got great compensation. But very few are able to pull all of that together into one package, which is why we're so I would say proud of who we are and what we're about.
No, that's a great summary of all the advantages, I believe, and certainly all of you out there might want to take a look at Travel Edge to see if it has something that you're looking for. Anything else you'd like to say about Travel Edge and your hosted advisor program to our more than 75,000 travel advisors?
I think the first thing I want to do is just acknowledge how beaten up the advisors have been. I mean, our industry has, arguably been the most impacted, and within that, the advisors have really been beaten up. And so we empathize with you. We are focused 100% on building out a best-in-class advisor experience. And we encourage you to invest a few minutes in yourself, reach out, and just have a conversation. At the end of the day, the worst thing that comes out of it is you're in a great spot and you've built a new relationship.
That's the perfect stuff to say. And now, how can travel advisors contact Travel Edge if they're interested in seeing what you're offering and if they're interested in affiliating with your agency?
They can reach out to me directly. So I can reach out at michael@traveledge.com. Okay. I review every single inquiry myself, and I look forward to building new relationships with many of you.
Well, I hope you have a big email box, because I think they may be emailing you after this interview appears. We'll see what happens. But Michael, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk about Travel Edge. I've known Jeff, and I've known your team. I've known Kensington. In fact, I think we've interviewed the president of Kensington a number of times in the past year during this whole situation. And a great company. You're based in Toronto. You're Canadian. What could be wrong? America loves Canadians, especially now. But good luck with this new program, and it's an existing program, but good luck in promoting it. And take a look at Travel Edge. It might be the best option for you. And I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.